Welcome to another episode of What the Fuck Did I Just Watch, where we have a triple feature we're going to discuss. We're going to talk about Enemy Mine, They Live, and Predator 2. All sci-fi movies that were from like the mid to late 80s, early 90s that involved major roles that were played by black actors, which we didn't see a lot of in our earlier podcast. There was only V that pretty much featured a lot of black actors, and the rest pretty much had none. So we wanted to highlight some. I'm, of course, here with Ray McGuff and John Paul Mantilla. John Paul's fresh from an ice cream run.
Yeah, he is.
Hey, it's summertime. You got to do.
That's
Go through
true.
the drive-through and get some ice cream.
You're right. I always, whenever I'm getting ready to do a podcast, I go, wait, do I have 20 minutes? Yeah, I think I'm going to get my car and drive across town and get some ice cream. Always do that.
Priorities, man. Priorities.
Yeah.
Hey, I made it just in time.
What kind of sundae did you have?
I didn't have a sundae.
Oh, what'd you get?
I go to Grader's and I get the coffee milkshake, and then I ask them to throw in some chocolate chips, and it comes out fantastic.
That sounds terrible.
It actually sounds
Don't
good.
like
But I feel like you should dump some like whiskey in that to make it just perfect.
Yeah. I go to Graders and I tell them, do all this shit that I could do at my house.
I don't have Grader's coffee ice cream at the house.
Oh, my God. Well, I'm going to have some more dinner.
Yeah.
You didn't eat before the podcast? I mean...
Oh, no. I didn't have time. I worked. I'm a very important businessman. So I was late on a Friday working. So I'm drinking my lunch and dinner.
There you go.
But Jenny, I didn't know how you wanted to kick it off, but I did look up some budgets and things on each one. Do you want me to just start at the top?
Yeah, actually. Because I just looked up weird random things that I get curious about, and the budget was not one of them, so please let me know. Okay. Now I am curious about it.
So I'll just start off with each one. We'll go through, your stuff. We'll talk about it. Then we'll go to the next one, so forth. Sound good?
Sounds great. Hit it.
All right, here we go. Predator 2. This film arrived in theaters on November 21st of 1990, starring Danny Glover, Bill Paxton, Gary Busey, Ruben Blades, and Maria Alonso. Has a budget of $35 million at that time, which was pretty steep. U.S. box office haul that year, 57.1 million. So
they got their money back then.
They got their money back.
And that's before video sales and stuff, which just started to really pick up during that time period. So it was a successful film. Yeah. I guess we're gonna see the trailer for it here real quick.
Yay, trailer. So, interesting fact, I don't know if this is important to either of you, but I thought it was funny. The guy who did the Predator in Predator 2 was also the one who acted as the Predator in Predator 1 in the original movie. And he was also Harry from Harry and the Hendersons.
Oh, cool.
And this guy was like 7'2". He died, though, at like the age of 35, like shortly after the film was released.
Oh,
not to me, of pneumonia, of all things.
Wow.
Yeah. That sounds a little shady. It sounds like he might have had an underlying condition on top of that,
Well, at 7'2", there's a lot of usually things that go in with that, health-wise and circulatory system. So, that might have been a contributor. But pneumonia does strike people down. It usually has like a secondary effect where water gets on the heart and stuff like that, pleurisy and such.
Right.
Which it didn't go into detail. It just said he died as a result of pneumonia.
Right. Now, we all remember as children fondly the original Predator, Schwarzenegger. It was the biggest movie that I can remember when I was a kid. Everybody's seen Predator. Yeah. When Predator 2 came out, I wasn't that aware of it until later, like about 2 years. It's about 92, I guess I saw this the first time. And at first, I thought it was almost better than the first one. As a kid, you're in the city, there's gang wars. They're showing people being skinned alive. The ending was amazing. It did a nod to Aliens. At the end. Mm-hmm. What were your guys' first encounters with it and takes on it?
So, first of all, I liked how it stayed true to the original in a lot of ways. It mentioned again, like in the city, it was like the hottest summer on the record. Which the original movie they pointed out that It was only during the hottest years that the Predator attacked.
Right.
And even the original cast Predator itself was really diverse. I mean, they had representation all around in the cast, the main stars. And I like that they kept that up in Predator 2. You had a nice mix there too. And then the fact that they headlined it with a black action star, I thought was really great because you didn't see a lot of that. It just started happening a little bit in the 80s. But prior to, it was like only blaxploitation films where you really saw a headlining character be anything other than a white dude in an action movie.
Right. And correct me if I'm wrong, John Paul, you might know, Danny Glover came off a Lethal Weapon.
Yes.
That was his. That's why he got this role, right?
I believe so.
This
Yeah.
is Lethal Weapon 2. Lethal Weapon 2.
Right.
Role.
And I thought
So
he carried it excellently. I mean, really.
Oh, yeah.
There was no lacking at all. It wasn't like you were like, oh, I wonder if he needed to be white. No, he was fabulous.
I rewatched it, I'm sure you guys did too, and it still holds up. I really enjoyed it. Danny Glover's fantastic. He has some great one-liners. You actually believe in, oh yeah.
Just
you believe in
execution is so amazing. Sorry.
No, you're good. You believe and feel for him when he's in danger. And I love his whole thing about why he's taking the Predator out is fantastic. He's got to get revenge for his friends.
Sorry, it's a warm night in the hood, so you're gonna hear a lot of motorcycles going around.
That's all right. Jean Paul, when did you first watch it?
So I snuck in to see this movie because it was rated R when it first came out, and I love this movie. I think it's 100 times better than the first movie.
Oh wow, good.
Because I like the urban jungle aspect of it, because that's what it is. In the first one you had a jungle, and this is like urban jungle and the warfare of it, and it was set, then in the distant future of 1997.
Right, where everybody dressed like it was 50s mixed with 80s.
Yeah. But the action was ramped up, in my opinion, a lot better. The gore factor, because I love horror, was so much better, because this is a true more science fiction film than the first one. The first one's a Arnold staple action movie.
Yeah.
This is a badass science fiction movie, and Glover is just so great in this, and all the co-stars, even like the minor character of William Baldwin being that weird little sidekick for Busey, and Busey doesn't go completely.
You mean Adam Baldwin, right?
Adam Baldwin, yeah.
I was like, William Baldwin. Sorry.
Sorry, I just saw William Baldwin in a TV show recently, so I have him on the brain apparently.
I mean, it's Baldwin, whatever.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I want to ask. Is Adam Baldwin a vampire? He looks exactly the same. I don't understand.
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't say so. You can tell that he's aged. I mean, he's not.
He's got a little fatter. That's about it. He looks exactly the same on Chuck that he is in there.
And Firefly.
Yeah.
Well, but keep in mind that was kind of a while ago, guys. It's 2020 now.
You're 2020 now.
No, I mean,
Hey.
might want to look at a little more recent pictures of Adam Baldwin.
All right.
So if you want to see him
Adam
really young,
Baldwin.
you can watch the movie DC Cab.
Oh God, no.
I mean, but Mr. T.
I talk about DC Cab a lot, actually.
All right. Frank is hey,
Thank
fuck you, Frank.
So now he just looks like Rush Limbaugh.
Yeah, all right. So he looks a little older.
He's lost a lot of hair.
Yeah, his hair isn't quite as flowing than the 1990s. All right, I get it, Frank. Thanks.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of feel about Predator 2 that I think Danny Glover, like, just because of him being in this role and because of how amazing he is in general, I think it opened doors for a lot of other Black actors to be lead characters, in my opinion. I mean, that movement was already on the way, but I mean, I have never watched a movie with Danny Glover in it and been like, man, Danny Glover just can't act. You know what I mean? Like, that's never happened. I've always been wowed by his performance.
Yeah, he's even good at like I remember the first time I watched Saw. Remember he's in that?
Oh yeah.
The first Saw. I had no idea he was even in it. I don't even think he was billed, and he's fantastic in that, and he's in like just a little bit part of it. So yeah, he's great. So, but I love this. If we can, spoiler alert, since this has been out for forever, I'm gonna say spoiler alert anyways. But that ending when he finally kills the Predator on the ship, and those other Predators appear, still got me. Like I was still like, oh shit, that's right.
Especially when he just like drops the weapon. He's like, all right, who's next?
Yeah,
Like he knows
love
that if
it.
they come at him, he's gonna die. But he's
He's
just like,
got
no, we're
blood.
just
His shirt's all ripped. He's got that gun, and he's like, "All right, who's next?"
it's like at
Hey,
least
do
one
we
of you's coming down with me.
do we want to see? Frank wants to show us Kenan Thompson's impression of Danny Glover. Let's see that real quick.
Frank, get your own podcast. No, I'm kidding. Go ahead.
Yeah. Get your own 20 podcasts, Frank.
Hey, Randy, you know that I typed Keegan Michael Key, and I believe you said Kenan Thompson. That
I did.
Seems a little bit racist. I don't know. But check
It
it out.
popped up Kenan. I swear to God, it popped up Kenan Thompson on mine.
Oh, did it? Okay, that's weird.
Yeah.
I'm gonna play this. So hang on a second. It's worth watching. That's why I want to play it.
All right.
Quit keeping us in suspense, Frank. Come on.
Yeah, I totally read that wrong. So.
I didn't read it at all because I figured Frank wasn't saying anything important. But, while we're waiting, I point out, of course, we have Bill Paxton in this movie, and in both sequels, so in Predator 2 and in Aliens, which was the sequel to Alien, he gets killed by the monster.
Yeah.
So he has that dubious distinction that I'm sure many people were aware of.
Bill Paxton's the man.
Danny Glover's story is, I know Morgan Freeman was making a show recently talking about his films. And so Danny was going, oh, yeah, you doing that? Good to see you. I met his grandson at an event. He's like, oh, yeah, you doing good. Yo, you brothers are funny. You brothers are funny. So Morgan Freeman told a story on the show that he was doing that when Danny Glover had seen Shawshank Redemption and had come to him to tell him how much he enjoyed Shawshank Redemption. And he walks up to Morgan and he goes, Morgan, I gotta tell you, man, I just saw that movie last week. You were so good in the Shrimp production. I'm sorry, the Shrimp? You're telling me I'm in the Shrimp production. You were so good in it. We were good in the Shrimp production. Shrimp production.
Wow.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I saw the Shrimp Trap production, and it's fantastic. It's a great movie. It's uplifting.
It's uplifting, huh?
But anyway, so yeah, I really like this movie a lot. I don't know why it's got a 29% on Rotten Tomatoes. I saw when I was looking up some stuff, which just blows my mind. I guess they're just assholes. I mean,
there's things you could criticize. There's like really horrible stereotyping when you look at the gangs and stuff. You have the nice scene where you have the poor, drug lord's girlfriend who's held on the ground butt naked, trembling in this weird, like very misogynist like stance. But I mean,
she was being attacked. It was very. It was
she wasn't being attacked. She was being held by her hair on the ground, butt naked, next to some guy's legs. It was very.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I got you. Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, there's things you could criticize of 1991,
but let's not.
Yeah.
It's a great movie, huh?
Again, I also think people wanted in a sequel to Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. They didn't get it because he didn't come back for this. I think this is such a better movie because of the acting, the action, and it's a science fiction movie.
Do you guys think that if they would have had the forethought of how big franchises are now, that they would have linked it on at the end, like had Schwarzenegger shown up at the end, like coming down in that helicopter? Remember the helicopter comes down at the end when Danny Glover's walking out?
But what's interesting, that gun at the end that they focus on with the name, it's Raphael Andolini. I've been reading up on this, and apparently, and I'm really like having trouble like figuring out if this was actually a pirate or not, but there's a whole fan fiction and storyline that apparently they were going to, the reason that was there was 1715 is they were going to go and make a movie that was the Predators back in the past.
Oh my God, that's even better.
And they were going to focus on this guy who was a pirate and him being a worthy adversary, with a flintlock, and I don't know.
I read the same thing like years ago.
That's fantastic.
That they were going to do a sequel, and it was going to actually be a prequel set in that time frame. And
there's supposed to be some comics out on it, graphic novel storyline or something.
I would totally buy it.
Well, I know Dark Horse did a whole series because I read one. One of them was set in Vietnam, and there was a predator in Vietnam, and he was hunting this like elite group of guys. They were sent in to basically destroy Ho Chi Minh. You know, that was their goal. And this predator is hunting them down one by one. I used to have the comic. I bet I have it somewhere. I could dig it up for a future episode. But it's all black and white. It's really well done. But yeah,
Nice.
there was a whole Dark Horse had a whole series of them. So we'll have to get into that. I like that and see if there was one with pirates or something. You know, so. But great movie. You're right. That was a good pick. So
Yeah, and like Randy, like you were saying, in the ending essentially sets up Alien versus Predator as well, because
right.
you get the skulls of the alien heads.
The xenomorphs.
Yeah, and that's fucking badass too. Like again, rewatching it, I'm always like, why did they make the terrible Alien versus Predator, and they could have added on this
I
sequel.
know.
But it made no sense to add Arnold, because Arnold would have been like, what, 18 years older?
Yeah.
More? So.
Right. Yeah. So I definitely would have liked to have seen, you know, that pirate thing sounds awesome. But yeah, we want to real quick, you know, kind of shout out to a couple of things. Frank had just reminded us. Jenny, you have your belly dancing stuff that's going on, right?
Well, yeah, I'm a member of a belly dance troupe called Sacred Shimmy, and just actually last week we had done a show. It was called Dancing at Home So No One Dies. And if you actually want to see it, it's still available. It was a free show we did just to say, here's some entertainment so you don't go out and spread the disease. And so if you go over to look for that event on Facebook, Dancing at Home So No One Dies, you can actually view the video of all the amazing performances. And not so amazing performance by me, but it's still fun because I'm playing with the sword.
Stop! You did a great job.
Cool. I promise I'm going to check it out. I haven't had a chance to yet,
sure
but I
will.
But we'll go into detail at the rest of the stuff at the end here. But let's go into Enemy Mine. Okay, so Enemy Mine, December 20th of 1985. Dennis Quaid, Louis Gossett Jr. had a budget of $48 million. U.S. box office total haul $12.3 million. Did not do well.
Which is sad because I think of the three movies we watched, this one to me is like the best of them.
Ooh,
just acting wise and like thematically, and just, I mean, first of all, Louis Gossett Jr. had to act with all that on his face, and he emotes still perfectly well. You know, like amazingly well, really.
Right.
And when you think about just, I mean, it's an age-old theme where, you know, love your enemies or treat your, you know, bad behavior with good behavior. And it just, I don't know, I think it held up well, and I thought it was really powerful still. And I also found it funny that gargly voice thing that Louis Gossett Jr.'s character does, that's something he developed as a child, being weird, and he brought to the movie himself. So that's him. He does that weird gargly sound all on his own.
Well, I really liked this movie as a kid, and John Paul can attest to this too, because we were talking about this a couple of weeks ago. We were first, you know, talking about which movies we were going to do. This was on HBO all the time when we were kids, so I've seen this movie probably 15 times. I'm not exaggerating. And for that time period, it had amazing special effects. I mean, practical effects that had to have cost a lot of money to do. And it was a cool story. You know what it reminded me of? It was a lot of like Robinson Crusoe, but in space. You know, if you ever read that story, you're trapped on basically a desert island or a desert planet with somebody that you're not, you know, you don't have a whole lot of common with initially, and then you grow to respect their culture and understand them better. And the fact that this alien guy has a kid in the middle of it that the human becomes responsible for, I always thought that was really interesting. Like, what would happen if you had two bigots on a desert island and then one of them had a baby and you had to either let it die or take care of it, you know? I mean, it's a very interesting story idea.
Yeah, I agree completely. And also, I'm always kind of funny because, like, for years, I always thought Enemy Mine did refer to the mine. but it actually doesn't. It's supposed to be like, my enemy, like enemy of mine. And they actually said it with a mine because they figured a lot of people would be dumb like me and not understand that enemy mine was not supposed to be referring to an actual mine. But I feel like they tricked me though, because if they hadn't put that mine there, I wouldn't have thought that.
My friends were in a band called Enemy of Mine when I was a kid, and they rocked out. They played the metal. They were what we called Hardin County hardcore. So, but yeah, I the mine part is the weirdest part of this movie, because the whole thing is you think they're trying to get off the not island, but the planet, and then all of a sudden the kid gets kidnapped by slavers, and he's got to go in and rescue him. So it's the weirdest part of the movie, but it's still really well put together. And I saw this when I was probably, if I had to guess, the first time 13 or 12, and it really resonated. Like I said, I like the acting. I honestly had seen Louis Gossett Jr. in Iron Eagle at that point. That was it. So I was shocked that he's like that good, So,
I think he's highly underrated. I think he was one of the best actors we had during that. Well, he probably even now still, I think he's still acting. But I mean, he was always.
He passed away. Honestly,
did he?
No,
yeah,
he's still.
I don't think so.
I believe he died, guys. Frank, find out. Louis Gossett Jr. Dead or alive?
I'm pretty sure he's still alive, but and it's still out there and prolific. But
don't believe he is. But go on.
But I mean, just even though a lot of his roles weren't like huge, like Iron Eagle, was it Officer and Gentleman? I think he was into. Toy Soldiers, kind of a favorite of mine.
That's what I was going to say. And did you see his tap dancing?
No, I have not seen his tap dancing.
He's amazing. He's an amazing tap dancer. I saw this video.
Service said he's alive.
He is okay. I'm glad he's alive then. I just hadn't seen him anything in forever. I thought he died. So
I think he was in something just recently too.
Yeah.
Okay, John Paul. I thought I had read he had passed away, but I'm glad that he is. But anyways, so that's good. But John Paul, when was the first time you saw this? Because I remember we were talking about HBO.
I did watch it on HBO, and then obviously when it went to like Movie of the Week, USA, those kind of networks would play it a lot. But I also loved this movie as a kid, and a lot of it is because, like we talked about, Iron Eagle was another one of my favorite movies as a kid that I would rewatch a lot. Mm-hmm. And then Toy Soldiers came out, and I saw that in the theaters and loved it. And then when I was, I think, 20-something, I rewatched this movie and really understood what I was watching. And even now, watching it recently, I thought, man, is this movie great in terms of the theme and how, again, it's science fiction, but if you really, peel the onion, you find out that, hey, all of that, the layers of stuff is true within what's happening in the world. Yeah, Randy, he was in Watchmen.
Yeah, kicking myself right now. You're right. Yeah, he was in the Watchmen. I totally fucking forgot.
I was recent, so there you go.
Sorry, Jenny.
That was quite all right.
And especially like you said, halfway through, the main actor that you think you're going to follow through this whole story of them fighting back and forth with Quaid dies, and then they get you this story of the child, and that's even better, I think, because of the way he just falls in love, really wants to take care of the child, and then at the end, the child ends up taking care of him, and they bring peace to the galaxy, so to speak.
Right.
Well, you see this transition too in Dennis Quaid's character, because of course, there they are, and he's calling, Louis Gossett Jr.'s character ugly. Louis Gossett Jr. is calling his character ugly. He dies, and there's Samus talking about how he's ugly because the only face he sees is Dennis Quaid's character. So now his, understanding of what's normal is gone, and then you see like this total empathy just come over Dennis Quaid, and he turns around and he's like, "You don't ever say that about yourself," And there's a whole bunch of real interesting things in the movie to begin with, like even the opening, if you pay attention. Where I was saying a lot of the other early sci-fi movies and even later ones in the 90s where like the idea is supposed to be diversity, but the cast itself isn't. If you watch the opening, you do see like one of the pilots that's in on the squadron with Dennis Quaid, black female. There's other female pilots in there. The cast itself, even some of the aliens, is also diverse. The person who plays Zamus is I think it's Bumper Robinson, which is kind of interesting. He does a lot of voice acting. He's in a lot of the sitcoms in the late 80s, early 90s. And then he does a lot of voiceover work. He was the voice of Bumblebee in the Transformer cartoons.
Wow, that's
And
awesome.
from Cleveland originally.
Cool.
Nice.
I told you I went down weird rabbit holes when I was looking stuff up.
Yeah.
Movie still holds up. I mean, yes, some of the flights in the spaceships don't, but when they really get on the planet, in terms of a lived-in environment and the makeup and everything, this holds up. I mean, I would totally recommend people look for this movie and see it because it's worth it.
I agree. If
Yeah.
you
Even when they talk about religion, Dennis Quaid's reading the Drac Talmud, and he says, I've read this before. I've heard this before. It's the same as the Talmud on Earth. And Louis Gossett Jr.'s character says, yes, because truth is truth.
Yeah. It's very cool, man. It's a gem. It's one of those, if you haven't seen it, and you're a young person, you should check it out and then try to dig up some of each of the actors' other films and see what else they've done. Because these two guys, we remember them fondly, But again, besides The Watchmen, Louis Gossett Jr. hadn't been in a lot of stuff, and Dennis Quaid's in like commercials now. So I think that kids ought to check out what they, Inner Space,
Space.
So
my favorite movie of Dennis Quaid is actually Undercover Blues. He's in it with Kathleen Turner. It's pretty
that's
hilarious.
a great movie. Yeah.
Good movie.
So, but anywho, so that's that one.
Sorry, yeah, I can go on forever about it in mine. I really did.
Yeah.
It's a very moving story.
It is. It's great. So, all right. Well, let's move on to our final pick, and that would be John Carpenter's They Live, November 4th of 1988. This film dropped in theaters with Roddy Piper, Keith David, one of the greatest actors in our generation.
Oh, yeah. Keith David, yes.
And
It's so much stuff. It gets so overlooked. Another highly underrated actor.
Yeah. Everything from voice acting, your favorite cartoon characters, to just being an overall badass in action films. Keith David is the man. And we've got Meg Foster rounding out the cast. Budget on this bad boy was $4 million. United States box office, it pulled in $13 million in its run, which is pretty good. That's respectable. It's a nice $9 million profit.
I'm surprised because well, I'm not totally surprised. John Carpenter movies either do good or you see them on cable late at night, and it's the first year. It's very
I hold this movie. Movie has a special place in my heart because it's right. This is right in the time when I started to get into horror films, Carpenter, slasher stuff. And I love science fiction movies. And this was I was like, John Carpenter made a sci-fi movie? And I believe it was Frank, our buddy Frank here, that actually let me borrow this VHS tape. And I watched this movie like 3 times in a row. I loved it. I absolutely love this film. Everything about it, from the really cheesy one-liners to the 9-minute fight in the alley to the end when all hell breaks loose and the world is shown that there are aliens that live among us. This movie fires on all cylinders. I fucking love it.
Oh yeah, I saw it first as a child. And it fucked me up. You know what I mean? And pretty much colored my whole outlook on life when you think about just what's thrown at you through the TV and through media, and I'd say it's even gotten worse over the years because there's so much more outlets that we get bombarded with about how to behave, what to think, what to do, and I think thematically when you think about today, this is really relevant.
Oh,
don't think, just listen to me and this conspiracy theory, and if you don't believe me, then you're a sheep, and
Right. Obey, consume, propagate.
Don't question authority.
Yeah. John Carpenter, he's been ahead of his time several times in his career, and this is one of them. This movie says everything I want to say about our society. I absolutely hate where we're at as people right now. And this movie, I wish I had a pair of glasses so I could see which one of the lizard people are standing next to me in the elevator at work.
Yeah. I mean, even to the sellouts that are in it, the people that just go straight okay, I know that there's just the elite wealthy aliens are ruling the world, but we're going to just join forces with them so we can get a piece of it ourselves and screw the rest. I mean, it's all in here.
Right.
And and Keith David, who's amazing. But, a small bit part goes to Raymond St. Jacques. He plays the preacher, the blind preacher.
Yeah.
And the fun fact about him is he was the first Black actor to appear in a recurring role, a regular role in a Western, and that was in Rawhide.
Oh,
and
wow.
he was also a director and producer. So I thought that was really interesting. And the other thing I want to point about this is not just like that you see Black actors in main roles, you see them all in the background too, which you'll see missing in a lot of other films where it's just like you're in a city and it's a city of nothing but white people. Even if it's in Africa, it's a city of white people. It's just weird, depending on where the movie's made and how aware they are. And I just love that in this movie, when you look around, you see everything.
Yeah.
It's not whitewashed.
Yeah, I love this fight scene. Was one of the coolest things I'd ever seen as a kid, and it's all about getting him to believe that they're aliens. It's so fantastic.
It's almost like, just read the facts. Oh no,
Yeah.
no, I don't want to. Go read it.
Right.
Check. It's kind of no, wear the glasses. You can see if you wear the glasses.
Right. I'll see what I want to see. So, yeah, I love this movie. John Paul, when was the first time you saw this film?
So I was 11 years old when I first saw this movie in the theaters. My older brother said, "Hey, let's go see this movie." We were living in Miami at the time, and between school and the apartment complex that we lived at, there was like a small little mall, and we would go into movies. And so my older brother, John Marks, was like, "Hey, let's go see this movie." And it fucked us both up because we were like,
Oh, yeah.
what did we just watch? Because it was just so crazy and it was out there, and we were just like, just so confused by everything we saw. And then, like, I want to say when I was in high school, it was on a pay channel, and my older brother and I rewatched it, and we just thought, man, this movie is brilliant. Because our minds developed a little more, at least mine did. Again, I was 11 years old the first time I watched it. And we really got just everything of it. And again, I when the most recent Blu-ray came out, I purchased it and rewatched it a couple of years ago with my older brother again. And we love this movie. I mean,
Yeah.
So
this led me to The Thing. I had seen The Thing before this movie, so I credit this movie for basically opening me up to all the other amazing stuff that the core group of our Carpenter, who else? John Paul, help me out here.
Romero.
Yeah, Romero. I mean, this led me to all kinds of other stuff. So.
Which is funny because, like, in the movie itself, at the end when like they break the signal, you see the commentators talking about how there's too much violence in movies, and he calls out like John Carpenter and Romero by name,
right?
Which I thought was hilarious.
Absolutely.
I just rewatched this 2 nights ago because I wanted to prepare for today, and there was something I guess I just caught it because I was really, really paying attention to it. So in the scene where they go underground and they have the guys talking about how, hey, we'll have, all of America obeying to our bidding and doing everything, in the next year or so. And then they said world domination by 2025. I was like, holy shit.
Wow.
So John Carpenter is a fortune teller when it comes to this. And
like that comment I pinged you. Is he a psychic? What the hell?
Yeah, he totally is a psychic, because this is just such a great commentary on life and what's going on right now with everything. So
yeah, it's a
wonder, hey.
Right. It still blows my mind. Do you guys remember the scene at the end though, where the people are screwing in the hotel room, and the girl, it's the girl, right?
It is a girl.
she's like, what?
No, other way around. It was the
Oh, it's the
guy.
other way around. The guy, right?
The girl notices that she's riding an alien,
That's
and is
right.
like, oh, it stops, and the
Yeah.
alien's like, hey.
He's like, hey, what? Yeah. But what a great movie. And it's it's one of those ones where you're like, I hope they never touch this, but at the same time it would be cool to see what they would do with an updated version.
Yeah,
So,
it's curious.
I even think a sequel would be great.
oh my God, that would be even better.
Yeah, because they only broke the signal in one area, so you know what I mean.
Right, and
Right.
you don't need this. Well, I mean, you could bring back Keith David. Obviously, you can't bring back Roddy because he's passed. But
Keith David got killed in it, though.
That's right, he did. You're right.
Mhm.
So, he could play his son because he had a family.
That's true. Back in Detroit, that he hadn't seen for 6 months.
Yeah, it could pick up with his son. That would be an interesting thing. Like, still trying to bring down the crazy aliens. But I don't know. I would like to see something more in that world. Would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
I don't know why some of these guys in their older age don't revisit it in some of their works, and then some of them do revisit it, and you're like, oh God,
please don't. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I don't know. Maybe we should all just do new ideas.
I mean, loves revisiting his work.
Who does?
I said Carpenter loves revisiting his work.
I know, right? Yeah.
He got
He
so
made
mad
The Thing
about-
twice, didn't he?
Well, The Thing had a sequel, which was actually a prequel, and a lot of people hate it. I actually really like it. Yeah, but it wasn't by Carpenter.
No, but I thought he actually did The Thing twice. Like, I thought he did one version of it and another of it. Like, maybe I'm wrong, but I thought that he did kind of remake his own one on that. But it's been a while since I looked that up.
He did produce the remake or prequel, whatever. And he did it. He was an executive producer also in the recent Halloween that just came out.
Yeah.
So
yeah, definitely like that. I can't wait to see those sequels.
So, but again, this movie is also another really good science fiction, and that's why I love these picks, because they were great science fiction movies.
Yeah.
In reality.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and this one is just super relevant. There's a scene where Keith David talks about how we cut the steel mills a break, and what they did with that was give themselves bonuses and never gave anything back. And you think about like all the corporate tax breaks that have been going on that are specifically supposed to be so that it trickles down still, like the Reaganomics theory, or so that boosts the economy, because these wealthy corporations don't have to pay as much in taxes, and the end result is you have this bigger and bigger gap between wealth gap. It's just the poor are getting poorer, the rich are getting richer, and the middle class is getting smaller and smaller and disappearing.
Yeah.
And you hit the nail on the head there, because that's what this movie was making fun of Reaganomics.
Mm-hmm.
That was at this point. He's like, we're living in a place that is just ridiculous. We have an actor who is our president right now when this was made. And now currently we have
game show or reality show host.
Reality show host or whatever.
We have a failed entrepreneur. Or a piece of shit. Yeah, a piece of shit.
Insert whatever you want. It's still somebody who should not fucking be president. Let's put it that way.
Right. Well, we were going to do a crossover too. I just wanted to mention the Last Roundup Horror Show, and John Paul and I are going to cross over and do the Reanimator series and the Train to Busan. So I wanted to shout out to that. That'll be a interesting thing. We're going to do that next weekend. But Jenny, what's on the plate for us for next go round?
Well, the next go round is the updated V series. We were going to round out our, for lack of a better word, season 1 of our podcast with the taking it to the rebooted V that happened in was it the 90s, late 90s?
No,
it's actually
2000s. I don't know.
It was mid 2000s. Yeah. Was it the 90s? Yeah, yeah.
Well, I thought it was like the late 90s, like 99, 2000, but I guess it was later than that.
Yeah, it was later than that. But it's
once you hit 35 and get past it, it all blurs, I'm telling you.
Right?
Last
What
week,
year?
right?
I don't know what you're talking about.
I
The old
will-
man doesn't know.
We're all Marty McFlys over here. What day is it? What year?
Doc Brown.
Doc Brown, Marty McFly, whatever. I'm drinking.
Dr. Emmett, so there you go.
Drinking over here.
I would say some of the most famous lines ever always come out of John Carpenter movies, in my opinion. I mean, everybody has heard the line, you know, I've come here to chew bubble gum and kick ass, and I'm all out of bubble gum. You know,
Yeah.
they may not
I've
know
said-
where it's from or who said it anymore, but they've heard that line.
I've said that before sex a couple of times. It's a good time.
I agree that's a great
It's going to
line.
say something rude about that you rarely ever get laid, don't you?
It's too late. I'm already in. Yeah. Ouch. Did you say yeah? You mean like in general or lately? Yeah. I'm fucking a mess. Look at me.
So
But back in the day, Jenny, I used to lay the pipe, the oil rigs.
all right, let's run this back to this movie. So everybody does love that line and loves the fight scene, but one of my favorite scenes in this movie is the first time that he puts on the glasses and he's in that convenience store and he just goes off on all the people. You look like from my life.
Yeah.
You look like you got a Brazilian plastic surgery.
You know, you look like your head fell on the cheese dip back in 1957. You're okay. This one, real fucking ugly. Oh. You see, I take these glasses off, she looks like a regular person, doesn't she, huh? Put them back on, formaldehyde face. That's what we got.
That's enough out of you.
And he's like, "You're okay."
Like putting a perfume on a pig, lady.
Yeah.
No, my favorite is, "You're okay. You're okay." God damn, you're ugly.
Yeah.
The rich lady. And he just fucking goes off on her.
And the guy at the watch is like, he can see us. He can see us.
I mean,
Yeah.
Piper.
When they first came out with smartwatches, I don't own one, but I wanted to get one just because I was going to walk around and be like, we have one who can see. And just, you know,
Yeah.
I mean, I probably would have got, you know, arrested for a mental health check because that's totally what I was going to do. I was like, there'd be no stopping me. Like,
But Piper's so great in the movie. I mean,
Yeah, and Frank was saying too, you know, that's why he was a great wrestler. He was very versatile. He's right. He was a great actor. So
If you're drowning in a river, I'm the kind of guy that'll throw you a rope. But I'll throw you both ends.
he was.
mhm.
oh, great actor, but he was an excellent one-liner. Let's put it that way.
He was a good actor. I mean, you have to be when you're yeah.
I mean, he's also good in what is it, Frog People or Frogtown?
Hell Comes to Frogtown.
There it is. Yes, he was great in that too.
Yeah. In a Mortal Kombat. But well, I'd say that's about this episode. Any other plugs, guys?
I'm sick of being quarantined.
Oh, I didn't know you were quarantined. You just went out for ice cream with like 500,000 people like half an hour ago.
Hey,
I'm sick of being here all the time, except for when I leave to do things.
Right. Hey, look, that's the first. No, it's not the first time, but it's one of the few times I've gone out of the house to do something.
I think you go out all the time. You just don't invite us anymore.
I wish. I wish.
Jenny, anything?
Wait, does this say I go out all the time? Come on.
Oh God, no.
Look
no.
at this. Look at this mess.
Ugh,
Look at this.
that's true.
Look how
I'm
curly
jealous of the curls, to be honest. I don't have
know
curls.
how it curls like this.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm going mad.
I feel like you should be on an appliance commercial.
I actually believe you now. Well, let me tell you, I go out every day to an office building and work with people still, and it's still not fun. So.
And lose the internet halfway through my shift today. Several times.
We know about your bandwidth problem.
Hey, WoW came to the house today and they said they'll fix the problem. I shouldn't have bandwidth problems.
Good.
Apparently, I have issues because squirrels keep eating the cables.
Man, you
I
live in the
haven't
weirdest
closed-
part of town. You have weird shit happen all the time, Jenny. Like you live in like I don't know. It's like almost Hillbillyville for some reason.
Not quite. It's North
It's-
Linden. It's kind
you
of
got,
like
like-
not Hillbillyville. It's more like almost the ghetto, but not quite.
I guess. I don't know. They got really angry squirrels over there, though.
Angry
You always
squirrels,
having problems with like raccoons and
Shootouts.
squirrels and
a couple
shootouts.
meth labs, and you know.
I've got rabbits living in my yard.
Well, there are rabbits around the neighborhood. They do not live in my yard because my dogs will eat them.
My dog does not care about them. Emmett's just like, all right, you stay on that side of the yard. I get the other side.
You, not my dogs. The squirrels get away because they can climb trees.
Emmett's made a deal with the squirrels. He's like, you knock over some stuff for me to chew, I'll leave you alone.
This has all been real great, guys.
Find it amusing about my dogs because if you see my dogs, you're like, yeah, those things aren't going to kill anything. They're like, yeah, but if it's small and fuzzy, they'll kill it.
Huh.
Hey, Emmett has
Well-
not interrupted the podcast today, so you're welcome.
Right. I kind of miss him. Where's he at?
Sleeping. It's a rough day for Emmett.
Yeah.
Thanks for focusing on Emmett's butt. Oh, there's his face finally.
Yeah. All right. Hi, buddy. Well, I've been Ray McGuff.
I've been John Paul, crazy hair man.
I'm always Jenny Morrow.
And this
Doesn't
has been the
What the fuck did I just watch podcast?
Thank you for watching, and check out these feature films. You will not be disappointed. They're on plethora of streaming sites. A plethora.
Plethora.
See, Jenny, I get laid with vocabularies like that. You're welcome.
Yeah, up until you probably say to them, I'm here to chew gum or kick ass. I'm all out of
And
bubble
I'm all
gum.
out of gum.
I can sure the girl's like, you're about to kick my ass? Okay.
And then I just point at my ween. And on that note,
Takes
see
one
you guys
voice just
next
thinking about
time.
it, really.
Why is he still recording this?
Because we haven't shut up yet.
Over and out.
All right. Have a good one, guys.
Bye, guys.